Hello, everybody. Does everybody want to take a seat? Leslie, thank you so much. That was a great way to kick off the conference this morning. Wonderful. Actually, just while everybody's taking a seat, I'd just like to take a moment of silence. Bina Britt, my queen, died yesterday. She was a remarkable lady. 71 years of service to a community. And I think there's some great lessons that the world can learn from somebody like her. So if we could just have a moment of silence before we kick off into the program. Okay, thank you very much. By way of introduction, my name is Jeremy Kelly. I'm the chairman of the Myotonic Dystrophy Foundation. I am so excited and delighted to see everybody here in person. We lived in a virtual world for a long time, and it's great to be back in person. At the same time, out of COVID, we learned a lot of lessons as well. And one was that we could actually run a virtual family conference. And I'm delighted. I'm just going to wave to everybody. The camera's right there. We have over 100 people attending the conference on a virtual basis, and they're going to be putting all their questions into the chat rooms, and they will be addressed as the conference goes on. But anyway, great to see everybody who's joining us on a virtual basis. So what do we have here today? Welcome to the world's largest myotonic dystrophy only conference. This is the 14th family conference that we've hosted as a foundation, and delighted. This is the first time since 2019. Who thought when we last saw each other in Philadelphia, we'd have to wait this long to come to San Diego. We have over 575 registrants, as I said, 100 of them on a virtual basis. And this conference brings together the whole myotonic dystrophy community, affected individuals and families, clinicians, researchers, biotech and pharma companies and donors. New this year, as I just touched on, the hybrid format, in-person and virtual. We're providing free childcare, which I'm delighted people are taking advantage of. And then we also this year provided scholarships to help defray the costs for 30 people attending the conference. So really excited about that. So I thought I'd just take a minute to actually, for us to realize, COVID could have derailed us as an organization. And actually we went from strength to strength during that time period. And I just thought have on one slide what the collective team, and I'm going to walk through who the team is in a moment, achieved during the past 2 years and continue to achieve this year as well. Obviously, today's the first ever hybrid family conference. We had 2 virtual family conferences. Right on the back of when COVID came out, John Day and Charles Thornton, who are on our board, worked with the Scientific Advisory Committee to put together COVID-19 clinical care recommendations, and we got those out in early April, which I think was critical for the community with a huge amount of uncertainty of what was going on. We launched the Global Alliance, which now has 55 members. You're going to hear more about that. And then we also were part of creating the International Myotonic Dystrophy Awareness Day, which is on September 15th. We spent 2021 working on our first community-driven strategic plan. We added 11 new support groups, organized 10 community meetings. We issued 8 guides on topics such as health insurance, employment, access, and exercise. We'll hear more about this later. We launched Myotonic Dystrophy in Motion. Our biggest fundraising in the year, we have in-person galas. The committee turned around and said, rather than step away, they leaned into it and said, we're going to do a virtual gala, which for an hour, that's a big challenge raising money. unbelievably successful. We've increased our investment in research. We're supporting 3 new clinical drug trials for drugs in development. You're going to be hearing about the myotonic dystrophy research map, which we're really excited, helping people understand all the connectivity within the community. We've launched 3 new webinar series that typically happen on a Friday afternoon, offering the community the opportunity to interact with experts and the drug companies. In terms of the team, we've added 3 new staff members, 4 new scientific advisory committee members, 3 new board members. We've initiated a summer internship program in 2020. In May of 2020, we moved the office across the bay in San Francisco over to Oakland, which I think has been a huge hit for the staff once they got back to work, because most of them live in Oakland, so their commute is a lot better. And we also, our finances are stronger than ever. So we're really excited about all of that. That's a huge amount of work. I just want to take a moment to now walk you through the team that achieved this. And I'm going to bring up a category of people, and if we can just have the people in that category stand so that we can thank them. The first group are our support group facilitators. They connect and nurture our community. Their leadership of virtual support groups during the past 2 years of the pandemic has been critical. So if every support group facilitator could stand, and if we can just give them a big round of applause. So we have 34 support group facilitators. Next, we have our scientific advisory committee. They provide the professional excellence and expertise. These are the leading professionals in the field of myotonic dystrophy who dedicate a huge amount of time and energy to helping us with our care and cure initiatives. So the members of the scientific advisory committee, are any of them here, or are they all in the professional track? I think they're all in the professional track, but anyway, thank you. The next is our staff of 9. Their extraordinary work and dedication over the past 2.5 years in particular with the pandemic really has been remarkable. If they could all stand so that we can thank them. And then we have our 4 summer interns who we're delighted to have as part of the team this summer. So thank you for all your hard work as well. Next, I'd like to recognize the board of directors. Thank them for quickly adapting to COVID and helping Tanya basically set the course so that we could deliver the programs and do it in the right way during the pandemic. So not only do I want to thank the board of directors here, we also have a UK board of directors as well. So thank to all of them for everything that they do. So if they could stand so that we can thank them. And then lastly, I'd also like to give special thanks to our record number of conference sponsors. This year we have 18 conference sponsors, which, when we first did a conference like this, it was like, maybe we could get 1, 2, maybe 3 sponsors. To have 18 is phenomenal. Thank you to all of them for their ongoing support. So it's Avidity Biosciences, who very kindly hosted tours of their facility for 30 people yesterday. Remarkable to see firsthand what they're doing. To Dyne Therapeutics, Entrada Therapeutics, Harmony Biosciences, PepGen, Newbase, Vertex, Locana Bio, AMO Pharma, Expansion Therapeutics, Biogen, Pfizer, Lupin Neurosciences, Astellas, AskBio, Juvena Therapeutics, Grit Gene Therapeutics, and Sanofi. And I know that's a lot of names, but all of you should be delighted that that took me so long. It is so exciting to have that many drug companies actively involved in our space. So I touched base that we executed a strategic plan in 21. Tanya led a strategic planning process, and we completed that. This is our first ever community-driven strategic plan. We had input from over 800 community members to inform and create the plan, and it provides a 3-year roadmap to help prioritize and focus in initiatives, because there's a lot going on within this space. So out of that, the takeaway is the MDF is working every day towards 4 primary goals. So the first is community, strengthen our community. Second is care, improve access to effective healthcare that meets the needs of affected individuals and families and caregivers. Cure, eliminate barriers to accelerate drug development. And then lastly, organizational strength. Build a strong, sustainable organizations. So whenever we're asked to do anything, if it doesn't fit in within those 4 categories, we can put it on a to-do list, but these are the primary objectives of the organization. And I just want to make sure that everybody's aware of that. In terms of the vision, what's the vision of the organization? You know, why are we all involved? What are we looking to attain? We envision a world with treatments and a cure for myotonic dystrophy. That's what drives the organization, and we're going to get there. How are we going to do it? What's our mission? The mission of the Myotonic Dystrophy Foundation is community, care, and a cure. We support and connect the myotonic dystrophy community. We provide resources and advocate for care, and we accelerate research towards treatments and a cure. The other aspect that I just like to point out, what are the core values of the organization, so that when you're interacting or anybody's interacting with the MDF, what is the MDF about? And we have our core values, which is community, empathy, hope, collaboration, knowledge, and urgency. So every time you interact with the foundation, if you're not feeling that, let Tanya know, let me know. This is what we're about, and we're here for everybody within our community to make us a more stronger and vibrant community so that we can achieve the vision that I outlined earlier. Being on the board, I'm also the numbers guy. We can't do this without money. And just want to spend 30 seconds letting you know where we are financially. Last year, our operating budget was $1.6 million. 84% of the operating budget went towards research, care, and advocacy programs. And the pie chart gives you the breakdown on the right-hand side. In terms of, you know, when the pandemic hit, we actually turned around and said, we've been, if you look at 16 through 19, we've grown our revenues up to about 2.4, we peaked at 2.4 million in 2019. The pandemic hit, with Tanya just walked into the job. A month into the job, we sit down with Tanya and it's like, you know, that budget of 2 million, we think we're only going to be able to raise $1 million this year. We're going to have to pull things back, you know, not do a conference in person, which was the right thing to do given it was given COVID. But the good news is the fundraising has continued to be successful, and I'll get to that in a moment. And, you know, last year we raised $2.3 million, which in a virtual world is quite remarkable that it was only $100,000 less than 2019, which was our best year. That said, you can see the number of donors. We're really lucky. We have some very loyal key donors that keep giving. But it would be great to start seeing the number of donors increasing going forward. So all of you in the room, whatever you can do to help us with that would be really greatly appreciated. In terms of we have a gala, which I talked about a little earlier. That's our major fundraising event. We actually, 2019, we raised $1 million in an evening in LA. We then did the last 2 years on a virtual basis. And I really would like to call out, it's quite remarkable, the work that was done with Tanya, Cleed, and Kate from the staff of the foundation, but also the gala event committee of Martha Montag Brown, Erica Kelly, Leslie Lynch, Ali Woods, and Liz Florence. If any of them are here, can you all just stand? We deserve a huge thank you. Without their efforts, the foundation would have had to change course dramatically. So it's just, we all should be so grateful for everything that they've done. The other important aspect of our fundraising is grassroots fundraising. In 2021, we raised close to $100,000 through grassroots fundraising, and the most successful campaigns out there are on Facebook. Somebody has a birthday, will you give money to the foundation? It's a very easy way to raise money, and we hugely appreciate everybody who did that. We had Andrew Gulch Memorial Golf Tournament. We had Swim for MDF, but raising just under $100,000. That was amazing, and thank you very much for everybody involved. So before I hand over, I have a few housekeeping notes. Earlier this week, and we talked about the virtual format, you received a possible login for virtual participation. So if you want to go back to your room, but continue watching the conference, you can do that virtually. Everybody's got the ability to do that. Like to remind, due to space constraints, only professional registrants may attend the professional sessions, and that's just because the room is packed and we can't get anybody else in there. The map of the conference and where to go is on page 39 and in the lobby as well. Your name tag and lanyard are proof of your COVID-19 test, and so please wear it at all times during the conference, or you're going to have staff coming up and asking what's going on. So please wear it. And also, to be frank, it just makes it easier to meet people. The name's there. People are first timers. Please welcome everybody. We meet back in this room for lunch this afternoon. The MDF Research and Fellows Mentors Lunch is in Bayview. And then we've had a fundraising challenge in years gone by. This year it's going to be replaced by a raffle with the opportunity with iPad, beautiful jewelry, gift certificates, and a mountain house vacation up in the Sierras, the auction item. So please get involved in that, and somebody's going to be very happy as winners of those great prizes. So that's it. I'm about to hand over. The last thing I want to do is introduce Tanya Stevenson, our CEO. Tanya joined us in January of 2020. As I said, a month later, she had her first offsite with the board. We started talking about COVID, and then by the end of February, beginning of March, everything went remote. So think of the degree of difficulty. You've just taken over a new job. Your staff are now all working remotely. A big part of the job was to meet the community and get to know everybody. And then you basically have to do it through your computer. And I just want to thank her on behalf of the whole community of she has done an outstanding job leading us through this virtual world. And what's really come through is the great energy and spirit she brings to the job, her enthusiasm, tenacity, and just the nurturing of our community. I feel we've never been stronger as a community. And the heart of our organization has really grown under her leadership. So I'm delighted to hand over to Tanya, who can actually take a lot of the credit for everything that's been going on the cure, the care, and the advocacy part of the foundation. So anyway, thank you, everybody.
Thank you. It is such an honor and a privilege to be here. And I feel like I know so many of you from emails and phone calls and Zoom for the last 2.5 years. And you all look even more beautiful in person. And it's so wonderful. I'm really grateful for all of you to travel during this time and be here today. So I'm going to talk with you a little bit about, if I can figure this out, care and community first. So we are continuing to support the community in multiple ways. We are engaging a lot with the newly diagnosed community, new members and family members who have recently received a DM diagnosis. We have over 500 calls and emails to our warm line every year. We are publishing ongoing clinical care guidelines and recommendations. We have over 10 on our website right now, and they are available in up to 9 languages, depending on which publication it is. Our digital academy, which is our digital library, it is now hosting over 170 videos. So if you want to hear or watch anything about myotonic dystrophy, then there are 130 hours of myotonic dystrophy information. It's all up there. It's fantastic. And that includes past conference presentations, Ask the Expert sessions, and lots of other presentations that have happened over the years. Our Find a Doctor map is regularly updated, and I want to thank the community for continuing to let us know who your doctors are, who your experts are. Those are the doctors and the experts that go up onto our map. So we only put those people on the map if you have told us these people know about DM. So there's a good chance if you need somebody in your geographic area, you might be able to find someone on our map. We're continuing to expand our events and our webinars. And this year, and you'll hear more about this later, but we have started a new initiative, which is Myotonic Dystrophy in Motion. So the Ask the DM Expert webinars we started last year, and this is a phenomenal opportunity for our community to actually talk to specialists and experts in myotonic dystrophy when they don't always have an expert or a specialist to talk with. So we have so many different topics that we have offered over the last 2 years. We've had over 4,000 attendees or views post the event of people watching all of these different topics. This is unique because you can actually ask questions of the experts, and that is really rare. We want to continue to do that. If you have a topic that you haven't seen and you want to hear from a specialist, please let us know. We would like to facilitate that so that we can get that out to the community and folks can ask questions of that specialist. Similarly, the Meet the DM Drug Developer webinars have been really well received by our community, as you can imagine. We've had over 5,000 attendees or views of these sessions. And I'm so grateful to the drug companies who have been able to share with us their progress, what they're doing, what their approach is, and really help us understand what it is that they're doing to find a treatment or cure for myotonic dystrophy. So we're going to hopefully continue to do that. And we hope that we'll see new companies come to the stage as we launch new clinical trials over the next couple of years. So what is myotonic dystrophy in motion? Hopefully you saw some of the signs outside. You saw people wearing jerseys. We really want to help you move. We've had incredible leaders in the community, like Dr. Leslie Grungold, who have really helped us to identify the need to invite the community to move. And so that's what we're doing. And we'll talk a little bit tomorrow and a little bit later, but we want to invite all of you as a part of what is happening with the movement moments to just think about how you can continue to move and strengthen your bodies. So this initiative was it was designed in part with MDF and Luke Bolt and his family, and eventually became something much larger, which included a movement committee, and they've been phenomenal as well. But we sent out a survey to our community and we said, would you be interested in an initiative that focused on movement? What would you call this? What would you do? Would you buy gear for this? We wanted to know how interested people were and what they would do. And it's been pretty successful so far. We have lots of gear available, and you can see Luke Bolt on this photo with his mom, Jody. They just rode the Seattle to Portland bike ride. That was 206 miles. So we're really excited about this, and we hope that you will look up the Myotonic Dystrophy in Motion initiative. We are continuing to forge connections through our support groups. So Jeremy mentioned earlier, we had invited 11 support groups over the last several years. We now have 30 support groups ongoing. We hope to offer a new one this year, a Spanish language one. And there it means that there are over 30 support group facilitators whom you have seen in your program. In addition to our support groups, we have organized over 10 community meetings, which have been held in areas of the United States, primarily where there hasn't been a support group or support groups haven't been meeting. And so we wanted to generate some more interest and see if we can connect more people. And we hope to continue to do that as well. So if there isn't a support group in your area, you'd like to host help us host a community meeting, we can do that virtually, and hopefully we'll eventually move to in-person meetings as well. Our website continues to be used by over 139 countries last year, which is pretty phenomenal. This is the one place where we connect the entire DM ecosystem. So we have an ever-expanding repository of resources for families, clinicians, researchers, and our industry partners. And you can see that last bar there, this is not the end of 2022. So this was as of August. So we hope that we'll see additional folks accessing our website and taking advantage of all of the resources that are there. We also continue to grow our presence on social media. So we have over 7,300 followers between Facebook and Twitter. We have one primary Facebook page, which is the Myotonic Dystrophy page. And then we have 5 different Facebook groups. So there's a DM1, DM2, a juvenile onset adult group, caregivers, and an unaffected male caregivers group. So if you don't know about these or you want to learn more, you can check them out online or call the office, and we're happy to talk with you about how to get engaged. All right, I'll talk a minute about advocacy. So we, with our new strategic plan, have several new advocacy strategies over the next few years. We are going to speak with a louder voice in Congress and in our state capitals here in the US. We launched a national advocacy committee, which has been working over the last year very successfully. And we are going to be recruiting more individuals, families, and friends to help support increased research funding. If you want to get involved in that, please let MDF know so that you can become a grassroots advocate and we can engage with you more directly. We also want to increase congressional understanding of myotonic dystrophy. So we are going to work with MDF advocates to build relationships with their members of Congress and staff and actually start sharing stories, help them understand what this disease is and what effect it has on everyday life. We believe that new advocates and relationships will help increase federal funding. And that's important for DM because we want to accelerate new treatments and a cure. So finally, one of our strategies is, and this will continue for as long as possible, we want to continue to grow the Global Alliance. Jeremy mentioned that there are 55 members now, and we want that to keep growing. So those are a few of our strategies, but one of the things that's really exciting that's not directly a strategy and is part of those strategies is that we are getting ready, REDI, to increase myotonic dystrophy research funding. So the MDF National Advocacy Committee recognized the need for new research funding strategy. And Dr. Wang of our Scientific Advisory Committee and our National Advocacy Committee, he helped develop a scientific proposal to establish the new Repeat Expansion Disease Initiative at the National Institutes of Health. And in June, fortunately, House Appropriations Committee included a provision in the fiscal year 23 labor HHS appropriations bill to establish READY at the NIH. So we're going to meet with NIH this fall to help launch this initiative and propose new research mechanisms to advance new DM research priorities. So this fall, we will include a congressional letter in our priorities to NIH, reiterating how important READY is and the need for rapid implementation of this initiative across multiple NIH institutes to advance scientific discoveries that will lead to treatments and potential cures for myotonic dystrophy and related genetic disorders. That's right. Right. So over the last 5 years, we have been successful in securing, MDF specifically, successful in securing $8 million in funding under the peer-reviewed medical research program, which we say PRMRP. DM is among 50 eligible conditions for research funding under PRMRP, but what's important to note about this is it's not automatically renewed every year. So we have to find advocates in Congress who will help us and add myotonic dystrophy back onto that list of eligible conditions every year. So we have done that. We've tried again for the 6th year in a row. We don't know if we're successful. We hope so. We're keeping our fingers crossed. We probably won't know until December. So we are hopeful. Something new that we're doing that we have not done historically is that we're going to request $10 million in new congressionally directed medical research program funding from the fiscal year 23 budget. So our objective will be to work with advocates to secure this funding specifically through final fiscal year 23 budget that will be passed in December after the midterm elections. So if you'd like to be a part of that, please let us know. It will be really fun. And I want to point out that there are many, many key allies on Capitol Hill that are working with us. And these are a few that have worked with us closely over the last couple of years. Senators Kane, Klobuchar, Lummis, Durbin, Collins, and Representative Schiff. We are very grateful for all of their support of the DM community and advancing research funding. This will be next week, is our 2nd year to celebrate International Myotonic Dystrophy Awareness Day on September 15th. So I take a minute just to talk about the Global Alliance for Myotonic Dystrophy Awareness. We started last year in February with 21 founding members across the globe. We believe that raising awareness of myotonic dystrophy will help improve service provision, basic research, drug development, and policymaking. Increased funding for myotonic dystrophy will improve health outcomes, reduce disability, and increase life expectancy for people living with myotonic dystrophy. So you have 1 week and you can celebrate, hopefully, with the 55 members of the Global Alliance who will be doing different things in different parts of the world to celebrate this day. The Global Alliance consists of nonprofit organizations, research institutions, academic institutions, hospitals, clinics, schools. There is even a school in Athens, Georgia, an elementary school, who is involved in this initiative. And our biotech and pharma companies are becoming increasingly involved, which is just phenomenal. Our whole ecosystem is coming together to raise awareness for myotonic dystrophy. Here's just a quick highlight of some of the social media from last year. We hope that we will see even more this year. It's just a quick snapshot of some of the posts that were made by industry, by our nonprofit partners, and by our research institutions around the globe. Similarly, there were many grassroots campaigns all over. There were backyard barbecues, and there were dances and people getting together. Everyone was wearing green. They put green up all over their offices and their houses. We hope that you will do the same and take pictures this year and post them so everyone can see them. Additionally, there were interviews on the radio, on TV, there were webinars everywhere, there were workouts around the world to celebrate International Myotonic Dystrophy Awareness Day. This is pretty spectacular. If you were in the UK, there were over 44 monuments and landmarks lit up in green on September 15th last year. Additionally, there were some monuments in the United States. University at Albany lit up tons of their campus. It was absolutely beautiful. We're hopeful that that will happen again. If there's a landmark or a monument in your area, in your city, or please consider asking folks if they might light that up in green for us on September 15th. So we want to ask you how you're going to celebrate September 15th. We are 6 days away. Please think about that. We're going to go into cure just as part of the third part of our mission. And I know I'm probably running over time. I apologize. I will try to go through this quickly. So our cure initiative as part of our mission is to eliminate barriers to treatment development. And Jeremy spoke on that a little bit earlier. What I want to point out is that we have invested over $4 million in Myotonic Dystrophy Foundation research fellowships since the program started in 2009. A record number of fellows were awarded last year that started their program this year. We raised over $600,000 to fund 8 fellows last year, which is just amazing. We now have funded over 47 fellows since our inception of the program. This is much needed research. We are going to continue to do this as long as we can. We're hopeful that there's breakthrough research happening. You can see many of the posters that are around the ballroom are going to highlight some of the work that's being done by these fellows. We have 13 fellows this year because we have 5 from last year, and they're talking about their work, not just here in the ballroom, but also online on the virtual format of Pathable. You can go in, there are even videos up that will talk to you about the poster and tell you about their research if you have the opportunity to check those out. We believe that this program helps attract the best scientific minds to DM early in their careers, and we have tracked that over 90% of our fellows are staying in the field, and we hope that will continue. So we are developing, in part, the next generation of our DM thought leaders. Many of them are here today. During the poster and exhibitor session tomorrow at 5:30, I hope you will have a chance to talk with some of them directly. Similarly, we have invested $5.5 million across 19 research grants since 2015. A couple of those that are still happening this year. We are investing in the NDM1 natural history study. So there are 16 DMCRN sites around the world that are following myotonic dystrophy patients to understand the disease progression, and that will help validate endpoints and inclusion criteria for therapeutic trials. Similarly, we've invested at the University of Rochester, the study REACH-DM, which was looking at DM1 affected individuals that were in both the myotonic dystrophy family registry as well as the national registries to determine the feasibility for remote genetic testing and disease assessments, which came just in time for COVID when we had to do everything remote. This year, we're so excited because we have not offered early career grants previously, and we will be offering 2 early career grants if we have eligible applicants, and the applications are due today. It's $200,000 per grant for a 2-year grant, and we're hopeful that this will help promote people staying in the field and will allow them to continue their DM research. Yeah. So we are trying to do everything we can to help eliminate barriers to drug development. So we're talking with over 50 companies and institutions that are working on drug development in different parts of the world. We know that we have 3 clinical trials ongoing, at 4th with Dyne just launching their clinical trial. This is a new drug development pipeline that we just posted. It is in progress. If you notice that there are things that need to be updated, we would be happy to update them. Send us the publicly available information. But we want to make sure that this is available to everyone so you can see who's doing what the program is, who their target population is, and what they're actually hoping to do with their drugs. And it just continues. And you can see that on myotonic.org/drug-pipeline. As a reminder, your participation in research is absolutely critical. So we need you, if you haven't already, to sign up for the Myotonic Dystrophy Family Myotonic Dystrophy Family Registry. We have over 2,400 participants in the registry now. We need more. We're going to have more clinical trials coming up. There are so many companies who want to come to the table with a new clinical trial, and we need people in the registry to tell, hey, there's opportunities for you to participate. And we want to make sure that everyone is signed up. This is going to help our researchers and our biotech and pharma companies develop new and effective treatments for people living with myotonic dystrophy. And this is how we will help them to identify new participants for their trials. Unique about this registry, and I think Liz during the first timers tea today talked about this a little bit, but if you join the registry, you also have the opportunity to review that data. So you're not going to see anyone's personal information or specific data, but you'll have de-identified data that you have access to. So if you want to learn more about the different symptoms that are being recorded in the registry, you can do that as a researcher, as somebody who's a member of the registry. Family members can also join as well. We have launched the Myotonic Dystrophy Research Map this year. Right now, the public version of the map is live, and we invite you to myotonic.org/myotonic-dystrophy-research-map. This is an interactive visual database of the current DM research ecosystem. So we have taken everything we know about who's working on myotonic dystrophy, who's working on different drugs, what publications are out there, and what are all of these connections, and what does that look like? Our team has worked on including over 68,000 data points into this map. This is the only map that we know of where all of this information exists, but we're hopeful that this will support, supplement, and streamline the work of researching and developing treatments for DM. These are snapshots of your 68,000 data points in the full data set. Also, though, this map is pretty great because you can filter the different views. So if you just want to know what's happening with clinical trials, you can look at the clinical trials view and just see what's going on with respect to all of the connection, who's involved, what's happening. Similarly, for DM drug development, you want to know who's working on a particular drug, who their advisors are, whatever information is publicly available, we have added it into this map. So fortunately, we have our team here who is working on the map. A professional version of this map is also in development, and that will allow access to every single data point. We hope to launch it this fall. We're still working on streamlining it a little bit. There's so much data, it slows down all of our computers. So we're trying to figure out how we make this really accessible for the professionals who would like to look at every publication, every connection, know who's doing everything everywhere. And with that version, people will actually be able to download that data and they can play with the data themselves. So it is a really unique opportunity. Our team is going to demo that tomorrow at 5:30 during the poster and exhibitor session. You can also just check out the map, myotonic.org/myotonic-dystrophy-research-map. You can explore it and look for the professional version this fall. So where do things stand now? And we have someone who's going to talk to us about that.
I'm Charles Thornton. I'm speaking partly on behalf of the Scientific Advisory Committee and also as an interested person. It's great to be back after a 3-year hiatus and to see many faces that I recognize and a lot of new ones as well. A lot of new ones, it seems to me, at this meeting. If you're among those, congratulations for coming. It's going to be a bit overwhelming, but hang in there. I think it'll get easier. From everyday experience, it's hard to believe that there's somebody actually working on the problem. I think the people's contact with medical systems sometimes doesn't go as well as you would hope. People have the feeling that there's no one who really thinks about it very much, knows about it very much. And the best way to counteract that, if you've ever had that sensation, is to come to this meeting and get involved with the foundation activities. There's, I think, over 100 people registered in the professional track. They're in this room right now. Most of them are working full-time on myotonic dystrophy. They're a pretty friendly bunch, by and large. That's how I got into this field myself, was because I was drawn to the friendliness of it. And they'll enjoy talking with you about their work, and they're also very interested to hear from you about your ideas and your experiences. It's really not so common to find a meeting like this, where researchers and care providers and individuals affected by a condition are mixing all together. It's hard to run that sort of thing successfully, and huge credit to the foundation for making that happen. And I also wanted to point out, if this is your first meeting, that you picked a good one to start with, because this is a particularly exciting time in research on myotonic dystrophy. And it wasn't always like this. A lot of things had to happen first. There was a lot of groundwork that had to be done with myotonic dystrophy. And it has to do with the fact that the way that myotonic dystrophy works is different from any other condition known to medicine. It's not what people thought, and no one expected what it actually turned out to be. And there were no roadmaps to follow and no precedents. And it was a tough slog to work through that and get some insights into what the problems actually are. And many of the people who did that tough work are in the room today. And so that caused some delays, and I'm sorry about that. I wish it could have gone faster. But I'm glad that it didn't go slower. It could have. But on account of that, it brought us to this very interesting point today, where because of those differences, those things that make myotonic dystrophy work different from any other condition, it opened up some really exciting opportunities to get a treatment that would be fundamentally effective. And I think it's counterintuitive for people who are kind of coming into this and learning about it to think that there could be actually a treatment for a genetic condition that fundamentally resets it and improves it, and perhaps dramatically so, we hope. And myotonic dystrophy is probably the leading example, I think, in medicine now of something that has that kind of potential. And when this information came out, and became recognized throughout medicine, it drew a whole bunch of really good quality drug development experts into the field for the first time. And one couldn't get those people on the phone if you tried 15 years ago. But now we have the list of companies who are sponsoring this meeting, and others who aren't on the list, who are actively working on it. And that's a huge change in the environment. And with so many people working, the progress has really sped up. So it started out pretty slow, I think, and there were a lot of potholes, but now it's going so fast that it's truly hard to keep up with. And it seems to me that this is really a turning point or a transition point for the field, and that there's a lot that you all will need to be doing now to try to keep tabs with that And one of the best ways to keep tabs is through the foundation's website and through their newsletters, and look at the webinars that they have that you can stream at any time from some of these same experts talking about their programs. And another way that you can keep tabs is to actually take part in the process personally. And the opportunities for taking part in research are going up. And it's not as hard to do as you might think. It's not for everybody. There are some research studies that are incredibly demanding, and it's hard to believe that anyone can find the time and the stamina to go through them. It really is. And the people, hats off to the people who are doing that, because they are the people who are really pushing this field forward. But there's others that are much easier. Some of the studies are kind of fussy about who can be involved, and that, I'm sorry about that, and that can't be avoided for the present time. But I just think that's a stage that has to be worked through, and that later on things will be much more open-ended and broad-minded. Some of them require a lot of time, but some of them do not. And the foundation keeps a list of these on their website and in the newsletters. And it's also posted by the federal government in a registry, and the family registry is also a good way to learn about this. And almost always the first step, if this has any interest for you, is to reach out and contact one of the people running the studies by email and by telephone. And it's not hard to find those contact information. And I guarantee you, it won't be like aluminum siding for your home or insurance for your car. No one will harass you if you take that step and reach out. That will initiate a conversation just to give you information about the study. There's almost always a paper document that goes along with that you can read at your leisure, go over with your family, to take it to your doctor. And that's how it starts. So you won't be harassed. In fact, to the contrary, the bigger problem is that sometimes you don't get called back as quick as you would like. And that's probably just a bandwidth problem in the field. And I think there's also plenty of opportunities, even at this meeting, actually, to reach out and make your first contact with the people who are doing those studies. And I would encourage you to do that. So I think that I'm holding up your coffee break, and I'm going to turn things back over to Jeremy to close. Yeah.
Thank you so much, Charles. You're going to have a 2-3 minute coffee break. I do apologize. We're going to move on to the next sessions. They start at noon. It was great hearing from Charles. Sorry we ran a little late, but please transition as quickly as possible to the next session, which will be starting shortly. Thank you.